Hey, welcome back. It's Pearcey here from the Pearcey Presents podcast. This week on the show, we have part 2 of our riveting chat. Now, this, in my opinion, is probably better than our first part with Ted. He really opens up and really does give us an insight into the life and times of Ted as not just a football player, but also as a professional at Sixpack, and covers off a lot of what he's done in the past and what his goals are for the future. Be great for you to follow Ted. Thank Ted for his time. He's on Instagram and Twitter at TedRichards25, TEDRICHARDS25. Give his great podcast a listen. If you're a financial guru or wanting to learn more about finance, subscribe and listen to the Richards Report on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts from. He's interviewed greats such as Andrew Welsh, Joe Watson, and 3 Votes, Chris Judd. Check out the business that he works for, sixpark.com.au. That's SIXPARK. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy part 2 of our chat with Mr. Ted Richards. What was it like to have a good mate, Joe Watson, with a father like AFL legend like Tim Watson, be such good mates with you? Was it inspiring? And being an Essendon supporter as well, that's just clicked to me as well. What was that like? Was he a good mentor as well? Did you see much of him? Describe that relationship between you and Job, and then you and the Watson family probably as a group.
Oh, got to know Tim, but you know, after a while, he just becomes your mate's dad. And how much time do you spend with your mate's dad? Yeah, especially Monday to Friday. It was a unique situation for the Watson family, but ultimately he was my mate's dad. And, if we're going to go and do something, you don't go and invite your mate's dad.
That'd be a bit weird, wouldn't it? Because I know when Job first came on the scene, he was certainly ridiculed. You were there when he first got drafted. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I wasn't the one ridiculing him.
No, I know you weren't ridiculing him.
Actually, I probably was.
I've got a good story about that in a minute. I don't know whether to bring it up with you or not, but I've run this past a few people, but I might leave it to the end.
Okay.
By the media, Joe was certainly pretty much bashed from pillar to post about his form and if he was committed. Did that take a toll on him? Because he was always compared to his old man and...
No, I don't think it took a toll on him. I think he's quite resilient. He's got thick skin and he understands and appreciated what actually there's something to, and I guess he's not going to just ignore any form of negative feedback, and he took it on board and applied himself and went to another level. Yeah,
he's an inspiration. He's an absolute jet. You obviously wanted to leave, or Essendon tapped you on the shoulder to maybe times up at Essendon. What was your relationship like with Sheedy?
Sheeds and I had a great relationship Monday to Thursday.
Yeah?
Yeah, and then I'd get to selection and we wouldn't get along. Sheeds had in his minds that he wanted to go with other players, and I disagreed with him, but at the same time, I've got to respect that he's the one that's making the decision. And at the end of 2005, I decided that I wanted to leave. Essendon offered me a contract. I said, no. They doubled it to a 2-year. I said, no, thanks, but I really need a new start. So I was living in Melbourne at the time, 22. I quite liked initially the idea of staying in Melbourne and playing for a Victorian team and staying in my comfort zone, but the more I thought about it, the more it appealed to move into state for a clean start, and Swans wanted to be the most out of every team that I spoke to, and with that, Swans came hard after me. They offered up a first round draft pick for, I reckon they overpaid because I was just
19 and 50.
Yeah, I was just a reserves player pretty much, but I really appreciate what the Swans did for me there.
Absolutely. Did you have a preference of club? You obviously said that you wanted to stay in Melbourne.
Initially, I like the idea of, like most kids, just to...
You've grown up there, you know what it's like.
Schoolmates, family, and things like that. But, the more I thought about it, the more I've gone, no, I need to challenge myself here.
Because I know that there was, like I said with Joe, he was certainly getting bashed bill at a post, and that's lack of better words. But you certainly copped your media criticism as well. I thought there may have been a possibility that you wanted to get out of Melbourne, get out of the fishbowl of AFL football. I don't know, because
not at all. Not at all. I reckon most people didn't know who I was. It was not something I struggled with. I was a fringe player days before social media.
Yes.
It was by no means did I feel the stress of the weight of the world on my shoulders. I was quite enjoying life in Melbourne, but just had to weigh up that whether I'd pursue a Melbourne team or go to Sydney.
So if it wasn't Sydney, who do you reckon would have been the next team that was probably chasing you the hardest?
The Dogs.
The Dogs, okay.
Met with Rocket a few times.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it the offer that got you over the line to the Swans?
Not at all. I was a fringe player, so
was it opportunity?
Yeah, it was a mixture of opportunity. 2005, the Swans won the premiership, and if it was opportunity, I would have gone to the lowest team possible. It was probably the easiest to get a game. I thought, well, what do I want my football career to be?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to back myself in here and try and be a part of something even bigger. So went and joined the Swans on the back of a premiership, which at the time you'd think it's one of the hardest things to do, and
that's right,
possibly the stupidest. But that's what I did.
You got drafted to Western after winning a flag, or after them winning a flag.
Yep.
Then you went to Sydney after them winning a flag.
Yep.
Sucker for punishment. Although you couldn't choose Essendon, but so you fulfilled a lifelong dream then.
Yep.
Then you went to Sydney. That's a pretty amazing story.
Yeah, and 1 point off winning one in 2006.
That's right. And that was the game that you got knocked out 5 minutes into the grand final, is that correct? You got knocked out 5 minutes into the game?
5 minutes to go.
5 minutes to go, sorry.
Yeah, not knocked out, I just concussed.
Concussed? If that was 2018, 2017, would you have been off for the rest of the game?
Yeah, possibly, probably. Yeah, probably.
Probably?
Yeah.
I think those rules are quite good.
Oh, so do I.
But how hard would that have been?
Oh, well,
it's
it's the reason, because I wasn't knocked out, and I kept on playing, but I wasn't aware, and I think but that's, times have changed.
And I think as hard as it would be, that you'd have to be at peace that, and it may take some time, that if that was different circumstances, say that game was this year, you got knocked out, you couldn't go back on, and you won, you'd hopefully be able to be at peace that you got the team there, you got knocked out, and that you wouldn't be like, well...
I wouldn't care. I'm still there.
Yeah, I reckon some people would be very much different.
Oh.
I'd be like you, we were there, but I think that's just what makes the world go around. People are different.
Like I was playing the game in the day. Yeah.
Oh, like if these days you would have had to been sent off under the concussion rule, so you would have had to watch it from the boundary.
Yeah, I would still be on the bench.
Probably best seats in the house.
Still a part of the 22 on the day.
Could have had some beers after the game. Yep. What would you say the biggest changes of the game from 2000 to when you retired in 2016? What would you say the biggest change or changes that you would have seen? I suppose social media would have been one of them.
Oh, but yeah, that's probably more a byproduct of just society.
True.
Oh, that's a tough one. The bench has changed. I can remember when I started. If you started the game on the bench,
yeah,
you wouldn't come on seriously till second quarter.
If you're lucky, you reckon?
If you're lucky. Whereas now, the bench it's pretty active and they're on within like 5 minutes. So
and you see streams of people run on and streams of people run off.
Yeah, and so so that's changed a lot.
Wouldn't really affect you, mate. You would have just been sitting there in fullback. It's like I don't know.
I know, and that did affect me because you now have a lot of on-ballers on the bench, and you can play short up in the forward line. So you'll rest your key position forwards, and you'll rest your midfielders, but you won't rest your key defenders because you can't play short down back.
True.
So I used to. Key defenders have got to be good athletes.
That's right, but you don't get the praise.
Well, no, we're very happy down back to what we do.
So on injuries, you obviously knocked out in the 06 grand final. You suffered a punctured lung even and broken ribs when you were collected by Brendan Favola with 30 seconds left. 30 seconds left against Carlton, which you lost. What was the story with that? Was that just a thug shot by Fev, or was that just a
Not at all.
mistake?
Not at all.
I didn't think it would be, but
nah, that was just an ugly day all around. We suffered a huge loss to them, and I ran back with the flight and left myself open, and Fev's knee collected me. I ended up breaking 7 ribs, and that punctured the lung, and ended up having to have about a week in hospital.
But Moddy Foot and Day players are soft, aren't they? I say that in jest, mate.
Yeah.
Like, you don't smash me, please. Yeah. Don't break 7 of my ribs. That's ridiculous.
No. And it was like you hurt your ribs. You can't hide them.
You can't cough, you can't breathe.
Can't sneeze, can't laugh.
Yeah. And the boys would have been trying to make you laugh, no doubt.
Oh, well, I was in the emergency ward after the game of the Prince Alfred, I think it is, in Paran, and I can remember a helicopter brought a patient in that sat opposite, that was on the other side of the emergency ward, and I asked one of the nurses, and she said that he'd just fallen off a motorbike and became a paraplegic. And so here I was sitting here feeling sorry for myself. And 15 minutes on the other side of the room was someone that had just been delivered that news. So very quickly stopped feeling sorry for myself that day.
I bet. A motto that I try and live by, while it is sometimes hard, I try to remember that there's always someone worse off, or getting worse news than what you may have just copped. It's something I think I should probably get tattooed on myself, just to continually remind me, maybe on my hand or something, because as you said, you feel sorry for yourself and then you don't know what the next person next door's going through.
There's a good line I read the other day. I had the blues because I had no shoes until I met a man with no feet. I thought, I like that one.
That's very good. I like you to send me that. That's very nice. Now, moving on, I really did want to focus more on your Sixpack. So give us a rundown on Sixpack, please, mate.
So we automate what a financial advisor does face-to-face, but instead of doing it face-to-face, we do it online. So we provide professional investment advice. And so because we do it online, our fees are typically just a fraction of what an advisor will typically charge. And investments are overseen by our investment committee, which features quite a few smart people, one of which is the former chairman of JP Morgan Australia, another one who's the former general manager of the Australian Government Future Fund, and the other is a former Minister of Finance for the Australian Government. Those three oversee the investments, and our minimum investment is $10,000, and on a $10,000 investment, our fees are just $50 a year, which for everything.
Kidding.
Yeah. So we are a disruptor in terms of what others do. And admittedly, we're not everything to everyone, but we can provide people with their own globally diversified investment portfolio over 7 asset classes if they've got money to invest.
Okay. So if someone did have, let's say 20K, and they were they'd never done much investing before, and they've spoken to a few different people, and then I tell them, go speak to Ted.
Yep.
What would you say, apart from what you've just said, why would apart from the, basically no fees?
Yeah.
And those great people on the committee, what's the major difference over someone else that could do like a face-to-face person?
Okay, so if you see someone face-to-face, in being able to issue you professional financial advice, they need to provide you with a statement of advice. And a statement of advice is it's a legal document, and it's quite a lengthy document, and most advisors normally charge a couple of $1,000s for that. So, which because there's a fair bit of work involved, and so what we do is we provide the statement of advice, and it's all part of that one small fee. So, if you've got $20,000 to invest, and you need to see a financial advisor, and they charge you $2,000 for a statement of advice, that's 10%. So you need your investments. Well, it's actually more than 10%. You need your investments because you'll only then be investing $18,000.
Yes.
And 2,000 on 18 is 11%. So you'll need your returns to be earning north of 11% before you've made your money back.
Yes.
Whereas with us, what we do is we provide this statement of advice, execute all the trades, all the managing and rebalancing for that $50. So $50 on 20,000 is 2/5 of
sweet bugger all.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Your investments, I guess, are earning you a return straight away.
Absolutely.
Effectively.
Absolutely.
Assuming they go up.
Definitely. Now, if someone or anyone was interested in potentially getting some more information, obviously all these links will be on the pearceypresents.com website and in the show notes, and I'll also be putting them on our social media channels, but let us know where they can get some more information.
Well, the Sixpack website's sixpark.com.au, and then I recommend there's a button right in the middle of the screen called which says try Sixpack now, and that will start the risk assessment where we'll ask you about a dozen questions, and with those answers that you give, that'll give us your risk profile, and we'll make a recommendation. We're fully transparent. We'll show you how we would invest your money if you decided to follow through with us, and there's no obligations to proceed there. So it's completely free. So I think that's a great way of getting a clear indication as to who we are and what we do.
That's fantastic. And is there any other information or insights into Sixpack that you'd like to give the listeners?
Well, we're fully transparent about with our returns. So if you'd like to see previous returns, it's there. If you'd like to see our fees, they're there in big writing. We don't put these things in the fine print. And another point of difference with us and some other investment options is that all the investments are held in your name. So we don't pull clients' money together and you own a portion of a managed fund. Investments are held in your name.
They're all yours. Now, listeners, if you'd like to help Pearcey get to his goal of $10,000 to invest with Ted, just drop me a line, info@pearceypresents.com. Thank you. Now, we are running rapidly out of time, so I'm just going to ask a couple of quick questions, if that's okay,
sure,
Ted. Thanks,
sure.
mate. Quick fire questions. Do you miss TED TV? Or was it Richard's TV on swans.com?
Oh,
that was quite amusing.
Yeah. Okay, good memory. That was me taking the piss there for a while.
Fantastic. Gave me some laughs over the last few days.
Yeah, so it's still online.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah. Back in the days when I guess the media departments of football clubs weren't as professional and with social media as what they probably are right now, we could get away with just getting them to agree to some stupid things that I came up with. And
There was one that I watched. It was so funny. You literally just had an easel with pieces of paper that you'd jotted up some like Word documents. You're just ripping. I can't remember the guess. You were just ripping them off.
Yeah.
It was tremendous.
Yeah.
There was an arrow and a star, and it was I got it, rising star.
Yeah.
The guest didn't get it, but that's all right. That was tremendous. So bring that back.
All right.
Best coach you played under?
For someone that played for 16 years, I was very lucky. I only played under 3 coaches.
And they're cracking coaches.
Yeah, Sheedy, Ruse, and Longmire.
Or it could be a junior coach that was really influential.
No, I think I'm grateful for the Ruse I'm grateful to all 3. Sheedy drafted me, Ruse gave me a second chance, and Longmire probably got the best out of me.
Okay.
And that's not a whack at the other 2. I think it's more of I think it's maturity with age, but I do think that John Longmire is underrated for what he's been able to do.
Definitely. Biggest issue Australia has to deal with in the next 5 years?
Oh, that's probably a question that I
We need a bit more time on.
Yeah, because we'll come back to that one.
No worries. Thoughts on Mark Thompson's situation?
Oh, unfortunate and sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think Hurdy will return to footy?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I hope so. Where will Mr. Richards be in 10 years? Retired in the Bahamas on his ship, or
It took me a while to realise who you're talking about. Then. I never really think of myself as that. No, I'm loving what I do, and I don't envisage I'm ever going to be someone that retires. I get.
You don't seem like a bloke that's quite content.
I quite maybe ask me this when I'm 60 or 70, but
Yeah.
I quite enjoy what I'm doing right now.
That's awesome.
So in 10 years' time, I'm not sure, but hopefully working in the financial markets, which I enjoy, and investment management.
Sure you will. Now, last question. Now, I'm sure you're going to find this extreme. Oh, actually, second last question. Biggest flog in the media?
Biggest fog in the media? Pass.
Now, this is a really quick listener question from Dogger. What was the Bloods culture like? Probably don't have enough time as well.
There's a quote I like. Plant a seed to grow a tree under the shade of which you'll never sit. And that means and why I say that, some of the guys like Stewie Maxfield that came before me and Brett Kirk that helped form the Bloods culture and establish it, I was a real beneficiary of when I came to the Swans in 2006, and I viewed my responsibility as to make sure that I could ensure that sustains and passed on to the next era. So I'm not sure, like the Bloods culture is high performance. We rode each other hard. Weren't there for always a good time. Tough conversations had frequently, which tested friendships, but born off the back of what's in the best interest of the team. And so it's not for everyone, and it can be quite confronting, but it was very rewarding.
That quote's really good. That's something that I'm going to use in a couple of hours, actually. Yeah. That's good. Thank you. Now, we have to wrap up because I've already kept Ted far longer than what I should have. So would you like to let us know about your podcast and your social media details? You have to listen to Ted's podcast.
I've got my own podcast, The Richards Report. And
that's awesome.
And if it's of interest, I speak with different people within the industry about what they're up to with their investments. And it's quite often I speak to former footballers too. So I've spoken with Chris Judd, Joe Watson and Andrew Welsh, who have been quite successful in their respective industries post their football career. And so please check me out if you're interested in adding another podcast to your feed.
Absolutely. And that's on iTunes and Android devices, I take it?
Yes, on iTunes and SoundCloud.
Fantastic. So that was the Richards Report.
The Richards Report.
And are you on Twitter or Instagram? I know you're on Instagram.
Yeah. It's pretty much Ted Richards.
25 or
25, something like that. I don't think it's too many of them.
So Ted, really appreciate your time, mate. You've been an absolute fantastic guest. Follow him on Instagram and Twitter. Wow, what an absolute tremendous chat that we had there with Ted. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I had the pleasure and privilege of having a chat with Ted. Really good to see another side of Ted. I met him at his office in the city. It was a shared workspace with a number of different businesses. They had their own recording studio, which was awesome. So along the journey, I've had the real privilege and pleasure of going into some of these guys and girls' workspaces and getting to see a little bit behind the camera that we didn't see during maybe their time in the spotlight for some of them. But it's really good to see what they've transitioned into. So again, I'd really love for you to follow Ted on Instagram, Twitter, at TedRichards25, and of course give his podcast a listen, The Richards Report. And while you're at it, why not follow the Pearcey Presents podcast at Pearcey Presents on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and of course Snapchat. Go to pearceypresents.com. All the upcoming information on the Pearcey Presents podcast. Give us a retweet, give us a share, all much appreciated, and of course we will have some prizes coming out in the next few weeks. So stay tuned for hashtag Pearcey Presents prizes. So I do apologise for the delay. It has been a little bit busy. I have had a major operation on my arm, but we are now back in the swing of things for the Pearcey Presents podcast. So have a great week. We'll be back. Same bat time, same bat station. Peace out. This has been Pearcey of the Pearcey Presents podcast.